T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Bridge to the Future, part 2 of my interview with Bob Zubrin. In this portion of our podcast, you will hear me talking with Bob about Elon Musk. Both Elon and Bob have a deep and abiding interest in getting humanity to Mars. Their interests overlap and in some cases diverge. I think you'll enjoy hearing Bob Zubrin's comments on Elon Musk. I would be remiss if I didn't ask your view of Elon Musk and how he is approaching a topic, or not a topic, but a planet that has interested you for a long time. What has he got right? What is he missing? Are you communicating with him? Just any thoughts you have on Elon Musk, I think our listeners
would be fascinated. I'm among the group of people that helped convince Elon Musk to take an interest in Mars. You read my book, The Case for Mars. And, if you look at the latest copy of The Case for Mars, it's got an endorsement from Elon Musk right on the cover. Okay. So I helped give him his calling. Now, that said, all of his technical accomplishments are his. There's a few ideas that he got from me, but his basic Mars mission plan is derived from the Mars Direct approach, which is direct to Mars, make the return propellant on Mars, direct return, not the von Braun on-orbit assembly of giant interplanetary spaceships at orbiting space stations created by space shuttles, or none of that. Okay, so he's doing a modified version of the Mars Direct plan. But that said, he's modified it quite a bit, and certainly the design of the Starship is his, with, once again, the exception that he's using methane oxygen propulsion, which is my prescription because that's the easiest high-performance rocket propellant to make on Mars. But certainly creating this whole gigantic organization and its brilliant success in creating reusable launch vehicles, that's all him. Okay, and the accomplishments of SpaceX are terrific. Cost of space launch was astronomical at the time of Sputnik, and it declined to about $10,000 a kilogram by the time of the moon landing, and it stood there for 40 years until 2010 or so. It was like a law of physics, $10,000 a kilogram to orbit. But since 2010, with the advent of SpaceX, and in particular the mostly reusable Falcon line, he's driven the cost of space launch from $10,000 to $2,000 a kilogram. That's an enormous achievement. And, first he demonstrated that an entrepreneurial space company could work. Before that, they were all bunk. Okay. So he turned this story into reality. And then with the Falcon 9s in particular, first building them with a much lower overhead organization and then making them mostly reusable, and then rapidly reusable. Last year, they launched something like 60 Falcon 9s, which is faster than one a week. The shuttle dream was to do 40 launches a year, and I think the most they ever did was 8. He not only exceeded what they did, he exceeded what they dreamed about. And in the process, he's proven that it's possible for a well-led entrepreneurial organization to do things that were previously thought that it took the governments of superpowers to do. And not only that, do them in a 1/3 the time at 1/10 the cost that had deemed reasonable for such things. And if he succeeds with the Starship, he's going to drop the cost by another factor of 5 or so. And we're going to be talking about $400 a kilogram to orbit. But even getting it down to 2,000, what's happened now is he's unleashed an entrepreneurial space race including not only other people who think they can also do launch vehicles, because if here's this somewhat eccentric Elon Musk, if he can do it, then we can certainly do it, and blah, blah. So a lot of people are trying to do it. Some of them are going to succeed. So that's going to create competitive pressure. I happen to know there's at least 5 companies in China that are trying to duplicate the Falcon 9. And one of them is going to succeed because laws of physics are the same to everybody. That's going to put pressure on Musk. So that's, in fact, why he has to do the Starship, because, in other words, this is Silicon Valley thinking. We will make obsolete our current product. Because if we don't, other people will, and try to stay ahead. And this certainly was not the common wisdom in aerospace until this guy came along. Okay, I was at Martin. Martin started with the Titan 1, and they had the Titan 2, Titan 3, Titan 4. Titan 4 had a vestigial upper stage that was left over from the Titan 2. And was greatly underpowered. And we went to management and said, look, here's a redesign of the upper stage of Titan 4 where we can double the payload by putting the proper upper stage on this thing. Management says to us, look, if the Air Force wants us to improve the Titan, they'll pay us to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Musk has continually improved. The Falcons 9s right now do twice the payload that they did when he first introduced them. And they're reusable, which they weren't at the beginning. And he's got, of course, the Falcon Heavies as well. And now a Starship. Okay, so he's trying to do this. So this is great stuff. All that said, I've got disagreements with him, both technical and otherwise. I think, from the technical point of view, okay, now this is really, we're coming from the same place, except we're drawing a different conclusion. Okay. I think that there should also be a mini Starship, one size to be about the right to be lifted as the upper stage of a Falcon 9, which is, say, about 1/5 the size of the current Starship. And I believe that not only because it would have been much quicker to develop and he wouldn't have a problem with getting permission to launch it because he would just launch from the Cape like he's already doing, and he already has the lower stages of the Falcon 9s. But because you could put one in the big Starship, lift it to orbit, and then it could shoot itself off to Mars without any orbital refueling. And it would be much easier to refuel it on Mars to come home. In other words, the Starship is suborbital as an exploration vehicle because, first of all, you don't need crews of 100 to explore. And second of all, as a colonization vehicle, well, it has its points if it goes one way. Land a Starship on Mars, you've got an apartment building on Mars and get you started, starter housing. But to use that as an Earth return vehicle, it's way over-designed. So that's a problem. That's also a problem with the lunar architecture using Starship. So I told Musk, and yes, I'm in communication with Musk, you need to do the mini Starship too, okay? Now his attitude, and even though he draws a different conclusion than I do, I like the attitude, is show me why I need it. Okay, this is a very different attitude from NASA. NASA's currently building a lunar orbital space station to support lunar missions, and everybody tells them, you don't need it. And they say, well, it might come in handy. They're doing all this stuff. In other words, Musk, okay, his attitude, show me why I need it. And he's just making a different answer to the trade study, because if you develop them with my plan, you develop a mini Starship and the big Starship, and then the power supply you need on Mars is much smaller. His attitude is, I'll go with the big power supply and only need to develop one flight system. So I can respect his opinion there, even though I disagree with it. Okay. Now, Musk does sometimes say things like, we need to go to Mars so that if a catastrophe destroys the Earth, there's survivors there. And as I explained earlier in this conversation, I don't see merit in that position. Now, I'm not sure he actually thinks that way, okay? It may be that he simply feels that's an easier way to explain this to people than my explanation. So, but he may have a deeper understanding of this than he. In other words, he may not be expressing himself well, put it that way. So now there's other things about Musk. Musk's a very driven person. I would have a hard time being an employee of Elon Musk. And because people sometimes ask me, why don't you go work for Musk? Well, I've never asked him, and I don't know if he would hire me, but I wouldn't ask because, Musk is one lion on a hill, okay? That's it, okay? And that's how it has to be. And so fine, okay? Now, there's good things and bad things about Musk, okay? And actually, his strongest point is also his weakest point, which is his desire to be a world historic person. Okay. Musk likes money, as we all do, okay? But it's not his primary driver. Musk is a character type, is a Homeric hero. He wants eternal glory for doing great deeds. Kleos. Okay. That's what he's not in it for the money. Money is a means to an end. He's in it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and he does not live a luxurious life at all. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So he's not in it for the pleasures of riches. His idea of the good life is doing great deeds. It's not enjoying comforts.
Right.
Now that's a very good thing. I guess best character in literature, Henry V in Shakespeare. No, my dear Westmoreland, not one man more would I have here with us today on Agincourt, right? Because I am not greedy for gold, but for glory, yes, okay? That's Musk, okay? Right there. And so Shakespeare had his number. Now, and that's why he doesn't play well with others, okay? It's why there was a point when Dennis Tito wanted to do this thing with the two-person Mars flyby and blew him off, okay? But this is why Musk created SpaceX. Okay, this is why he created Tesla. He wanted to do things that were world historic. So he wants eternal glory for doing great deeds. And the positive side of that is that his definition of a great deed is something great for the human race. So he wants to make humanity multiplanetary, and he wants to solve global warming. Okay, there you go. Wow. Now, it has a dark side to it, which is, for example, why he became enraged when he was not the person to save the boys in the cave in Thailand. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now, but that said, was Donald Trump interested in saving the boys in the cave in Thailand? Okay. The fact that caught Musk's attention as something that would be worth doing speaks very positively for him. There's any number of, I didn't try to do anything to save the boys in Thailand. And of course, I don't really have the means, but there are plenty of other people with the means to have tried to take a hand, and they didn't. Right. He did, but yes, but there was this dark side to it of him wanting to be the person to do it. Now, I also think that this aspect of his character makes him open to manipulation by people like Putin, who I think played him. Okay? Right. So offering him the chance, you can be the person to stop World War III. First of all, you're flattered by the fact that I, leader of a superpower, are talking to you. Okay, you're, at the big table now, and furthermore, you can be because if you don't do this, Musk, they're going to invade Crimea and there's going to be nuclear war. So it's up to you. So you could do three things: make humanity multiplanetary, solve global warming, and save the human race from World War III. And he went for it. Okay. Well, that's surely a very tempting offer. A lot of people would have been tempted by that offer, but okay, he was tempted by that. And so he did some things that were pretty dumb. Now, who knows? Now also, here's the thing. People say, well, he's a great business leader, but would you want him running your country? Would you like to live in a city-state on Mars that is run by a Bonapartist personality like Elon Musk? I think that there's a pretty good analogy there, actually, in a number of ways. The answer is no. But here's the thing. I don't think that the Mars colony can evolve as a tyranny because it wouldn't attract immigrants. So I think that while it may take someone with the kind of decisiveness, okay, once again, it's kind of Bonapartist, strong leader to actually crack this egg and make this thing happen. I don't think that's how society on Mars will evolve. Okay, in other words, I don't think we need to fear that. That is regardless. No, well, look, it's the Spain of the Inquisition that opened up the Americas, right? Okay, and yet the United States outgrew all the Spanish colonies because it was more attractive to immigrants, because we offered liberty and opportunity and all this kind of thing, and freedom of religion and lots of stuff like that. And so I think Musk is not the perfect person, but he is a world historic person.
Some of my colleagues at Starbridge Venture Capital talk about the Starship singularity, the feeling that if Starship succeeds, it's really going to change everything. What do you think about that? You've hinted that you might agree with it.
Well, if Starship succeeds, it will change everything. If Starship does not succeed, someone else is going to do it, and they'll change everything. That is really, look, Musk could fail. This guy's a risk taker. He skates close to the edge of the ice. And not just on space stuff, but all sorts of stuff. He tempts fate a lot of times, in a lot of ways. And it has to be said, frankly, that as he has become more successful, he's become less approachable. And once again, why did Napoleon fail in Russia? Napoleon failed in Russia because he had succeeded every time before. And so there are plenty of French generals that told him, hey, Napoleon, why don't we just take Poland and call it good? We can do that. Would have been a piece of cake for them. And they would have had this solid Polish ally in the East. Would have loved France forever if they had made Poland independent. And
correct.
Okay. But Napoleon said, look, you guys always advised me to take the cautious road before, and you were always wrong. I was always right. The daring approach was always right. Those who dare win. Okay. He was wrong that time. Now, so, Musk, well, at least until Twitter, every gamble paid off. Twitter remains to be seen. Okay, how that's going to pay off. Because, well, I and many other people told him no. And he you could be right. Okay, it's a waste of your time. Even if you succeed with it, it's a waste of your time. Okay. But we'll see. But he might pull it off. I mean, he's a brilliant businessman. I don't think it's necessarily the case that Twitter is doomed and so forth. I think he knows a lot about how to make businesses succeed. Okay, and we'll see. I think it's a reckless decision. And well, sometimes reckless decisions work out in the end. I think it's a major distraction for him from doing things that are important, because even if he succeeds with Twitter, there was already a Twitter before he had it. In other words, it's not a world-changing thing for there to be a Twitter. It was already there. The thing that's important about Musk is he did things that wouldn't have happened if he hadn't existed. And that, by the way, differentiates him from Jeff Bezos. There's nothing Jeff Bezos did that wouldn't have happened if there'd been no Jeff Bezos. I mean, Amazon, it was an obvious thing to do. Someone was going to succeed at it. Okay. There even is an alternative Amazon that they have in China, the Alibaba and so forth. But Tesla and SpaceX are unique accomplishments. So he's made history. But even if he should skate off the ice, at this point, he's proven the point. He's proven the point. And there will be people that come along to pick up this flag if he drops it. Okay. It's going to happen. He's already changed the course of things. And you see, look, here's the other point about this, is he has let loose a virtuous cycle. The cheaper space launch gets, the more viable a whole range of space business plans become. That would not be viable, okay, otherwise. So that means the cheaper space launch gets, the more space launches there are going to be. And the more space launches there are going to be, the cheaper space launch is going to get. And furthermore, the more space launches there are, the cheaper space technology, spacecraft technology is going to be, because it will be produced in larger runs. And the more effective it's going to be, because if space launch becomes cheaper, spacecraft designers can be less conservative. Okay. Right. That is, if your launch is going to cost you $500 million, you're not going to take a chance on cheaper batteries.
Right.
Okay. Just because they look like it should work, you say, no, I'm not going to use anything that hasn't been used before. And that's what, but to make space launch cheaper, then spacecraft designers will become more aggressive, trying more things, and that's how you find the ones that work.
Well, Bob, we could go on, and I'd like to, but all good things do have to come to an end.
Sure.
Is there a question I should have asked that I didn't, that you'd like to answer?
Well, let me try to think. My vision of the future. Mars will not be utopia. Mars will be a laboratory for noble experiments, just like the founders called America a noble experiment. Okay. Things are going to be tried. Those that work will prevail and become examples for the earth. Just as democracy, basically the ideas of 18th century liberalism, were given their first real try here. They weren't originated here. They originated in Europe, but we gave them a try, and it worked well enough that eventually became the global standard. That is, countries that do not feature liberty and rule of law today at least try to pretend that they do, because it's the standard. And I think Mars will set a new standard. I think it'll set a higher standard. And by so doing, help light the way to a better future. And not just for the people on Mars, but for people everywhere. And it'll be together to Mars, and then together with Mars, we go to the stars.
Well, Bob, you are a visionary. You've been at it for quite a long time. Mars is no longer underground. It's above ground. And, you're one of the people that made that happen. I think our listeners are going to benefit a lot from hearing what you've had to say. And I just want to thank you again. It's been fantastic listening and learning. And I'm going to have to take some time to absorb everything you've said and finish reading The Case for Mars, which I'm deep into right now. But
Well,
thanks
thanks.
again. It's been great.